Yo, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. Once again, smash that like button, comment down below, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think. And obviously, it's 29th May 2025, and let's get started. Run up against laws of political gravity, separation of powers. Once again, President Donald Trump's biggest policy plans were stopped in their tracks. On Wednesday, an obscure but powerful court in New York rejected the legal violation of small sweeping tariffs, finding that Trump could not use a 1977 law to declare a national emergency on trade, imbalance, and fentanyl smuggling to justify a series of import taxes that have unsettled the world. Reordering the global economy by executive fiat was an unconstitutional and run around Congress powers. The three-judge panel of Trump, Obama, and Reagan appointees ruled in a scathing rebuke of Trump's action. The setbacks fit a broader pattern for a president who has advanced an extraordinarily expansive view of executive power. Federal courts have called out the lack of due process in some of Trump's deportation efforts. His proposed income tax cuts, now working their way through Congress, are so costly that some of them can't be made permanent, as Trump advertised. Efforts to humble Harvard University and cut the federal workforce have encountered legal obstacles, and he's running up against reality as his pledges to quickly end the wars in Ukraine and Gaza have turned into slogs. The laws of political gravity, the separation of powers, and political realities are proving to be tougher to conquer than Trump publicly admitted. As various lay out, he may have to choose between bowing to the limits of his powers or trying to ignore the judicial system. If the latter, we may have constitutional crisis, said University of Texas history professor H.W. Brands. After a second federal court on Thursday found Trump's tariffs to be improper, White House Secretary Caroline Leavitt that Trump's administration expects to prevail in its judicial appeal also indicated that laws to affect appeals court said Thursday the government can continue to collect the tariffs under the emergency passage law for now as the Trump administration challenges the ruling tough. The government could be obligated to refund the money if the ruling is upheld. Kevin Hassett, director of the White House National Economic Council, said there are two affidavits that say Trump always wins and Trump has been right about everything. Trump does always win these negotiations because we're right, Hassett said on Fox Business Network's Mornings with Maria. These activist judges are trying to slow down something right in the middle of really important negotiations. The job, and only the thorniest problems cross the desk. Also, the fact that Trump's keen instincts for what plays well on TV don't necessarily help with the nitty-gritty of policy details. By unilaterally ordering tariffs, deportations, and other actions through the White House, Trump is bypassing both Congress and the broader public, which could have given more popular legitimacy policy choice, said Princeton University history professor Julian Celsier. The president is trying to achieve his goals outside normal legal processes and without focusing on public. Celsier said, "The problem is that we do have a constitutional system and there are many things a president can't do. The courts are simply saying no. The reality is that many of his boldest decisions stand on an incredibly fragile foundation. As Trump sees it, his tariffs would solve genuine problems. His Liberation Day taxes on imports would close persistent trade imbalances with other countries, with his 10% baseline tariff providing a stream of revenue to help offset the trillions of dollars in federal borrowing that would be created by his planned income tax cuts. When the financial market panicked and the interest charged on U.S. debt shot up, Trump acted and ratcheted many tariffs to 10% while negotiations began to take place. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent suggested this had been the plan all along to force new trade negotiations, but Trump shortly undercut him by saying on the White House South Lawn that he backed down because the financial markets were being jippy. A reminder that Trump's own improvisatory and disruptive style can upend any working policy process. Trump still has tariffs in place on autos, steel, and aluminum based on national security arguments under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962. He could use other laws to start new investigations on temporarily imposed tariffs, but the White House, for now, is focused on challenging the court's rulings. What is president is Trump's asserting authority under a 1977 statute that had never been used for tariffs, not just for targeted tariffs, but the largest tariffs since the 1930s, said Peter Harrell, a fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace who served in the Biden White House. That's what is unprecedented and unusual. Harrell said Trump could recreate many of his tariffs using other laws, but it would require more work and be a much more orderly process. Race University history professor Douglas Winkley said Trump's sense of the presidency relies on a deep reading of the office. He mistakenly assumes that the tariffs used in the 19th century to fund a much smaller federal government would now be able to pay for a much larger federal government. But he also assumes that power flows to and from him, rather than from institutions and the rule of law. He doesn't seem to realize that anytime he doesn't listen to the court orders that he's making an anti-American statement, Brinkley said. He's telling people that I'm bigger than the American Constitution, that judges are just errand boys for me. The Trump White House blamed its latest setback on the U.S. Court of International Trade. White House trade advisor Peter Navarro said in a Bloomberg News interview that the judicial branch was part of the problem, keeping Trump from delivering on his promises. We've got courts in this country who are basically engaged in attacks on the American people, Navarro said. The president ran on stopping the fentanyl poisoning, stopping international trade, unfair practices from stealing our factories and jobs. And courts keep getting in the way of that. Anyway, thank you for the video. Subscribe to the channel, comment down below, give it that like button, smash that like button. And again, see you next one. In the next video, I'll see you in the next YouTube video. Until next time.